although you are a narcissist, self-confessed, which you did, you're not arrogant. So the fact that you were musing on how clever you are isn't something that you say a lot. And it's something that my beautician does when she's done marvellous manicure. She sits back and she goes, and I can see she's proud of her handiwork. Yeah. I think we should be proud of our handiwork on a day when we know, or a period of time when we know we've done good work. Because if we're not going to be proud of our handiwork, who is?
Welcome to Own It, Your Business and Your Life, with Nicola Cairncross and Judith Morgan. In this podcast, we're going to cover everything you need to embrace to become a successful entrepreneur, marketing, money, and much, much more. How to create a business doing just what you love. How to own it, your business and your life. This one will be fast, funny, feisty, and very lively. So sit back and enjoy the show.
Here she comes.
No, she's been here for 5 minutes. It's you that's coming. When will you get that in your head?
Because my universe revolves around me, Judith.
I know that, Nicola Cairncross. I've been in business with you since God was a lad.
I know, since God was a lad.
Now, this means I can shut Messenger, which I keep open in case you have some kind of last-minute drama. Right.
No, not this time, no.
No. So you've been out and about in that little car of, I don't know where it is. You've been out and about and you've been showing your brother you've been brave, you girls, this week.
I know.
You've been further afield, haven't you?
We went to Trehelia, which is somewhere I keep hearing about as a lovely place for lunch. And we got there, and it was a longer drive than I thought, but it was very picturesque. And then we got there, and have you ever seen the Victoria Wood sketch, Two Soups?
Yes.
It was a bit like that, but in a taverna.
Yeah. But you say it was funny because if one was on holiday, you wouldn't really mind about that. But because you've become a local and a bit business oriented locally in that environment, you were talking like an impatient person. But actually, there's no need to be, is there? Because you're in the sunshine, you're with your pals.
Yeah.
No, lovely. It doesn't really matter when you're on holiday how long it takes Two Soups to bring you lunch, does it?
Absolutely, it doesn't at all. He had this fantastic system though, which it took 15 minutes for us to get 3 glasses of water, and he wasn't deviating from his system at all. So he'd bring you the water, and then he'd go off and he'd get some. Deliver some food to someone else, and then he'd bring you the menu, and then he wouldn't take your order immediately though, even if you knew what you wanted. It was like
this is why people go on holiday, because it's the charm of that, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, there's no doubt you and I could slick that process into order in about 5 minutes.
Yeah, well, absolutely. But the thing is, it worked for him. He didn't have to rush. We didn't have to go anywhere. It was all fine.
Now we know we can't go to Trehelia for lunch unless we've got a day.
Yeah, exactly. unless you're not in a hurry. Exactly.
Yeah.
So how's your week been then?
It's been nice. On Sunday, I drove back from Luton in mahoosive rain. There's a recurring theme. Every time I drive to Somerset, it's like Noah's Ark.
Oh, God.
And driving on the M1 and the M25 and the M4, quite scary in big rain and cold, and listening to Radio 2, people in London were describing it as stair rods and things, and aquaplaning on the motorway. But my destination was not my home in Somerset. It was Trowbridge in Wiltshire, where I met a lovely couple, as you were saying last week, people we've met via the internet, who've got a nice cat and a warm home, and we were meeting with a view to them giving me the brief and the front door key and getting me the Wi-Fi codes for my 2-week house sit, which begins on Wednesday. But you'll like this, not in the fullest sense, because it's not your kind of music, but when you go to meet, well, I don't know about you, but when you go to meet a couple for the first time and you've spoken to them online, and the woman is likely, I think, to embrace you at the front door, but the man usually to offer you a hand for a handshake. Well, the man embraced me as well, and I thought, okay, so this isn't going to go like normal life. Well, what charming, lovely people. But the point of this story is that the male, they have an online business, and they're training with that person that Alice talked about Tribe, and they've been to Toronto. But she's a psychologist and he's a retired engineer, and they do YouTube videos and all sorts of things. They're really on it. They're my age. Yeah. But the interesting part of this story is that I knew in advance, but when they're walking me around their house, we get to a room on the lower ground floor where they've got their kitchen and their French windows out to the garden and the cat flap and the Arga, which I don't know anything about Argas yet, but I will do in about 3 weeks' time.
Yeah, good.
He's got a room full of guitars.
Oh.
And I already knew that he had multiple guitars. And I said, why do you need so many? Well, you've got to have an electric guitar, yes. You've got to have an acoustic guitar, yes. And you've got to have a hybrid, yes. And you've got to have... So he had 8, 9, 10 guitars. But the cat was called Hendrix, even though she's a girl, because Jimi Hendrix is his absolute star.
Yeah.
So we music is my thing. So we talked about music endlessly, and his viewpoint was exactly the opposite to mine. And it didn't matter because he was a clever man, and clever people don't care if you disagree with them. They just love the debate.
Yeah.
So I was only there for 90 minutes, but we talked about, I mean, honestly, I could have been there for 900 or 9,000 minutes all the rest of my life because they were that interesting. But I asked him what was his favourite Jimi Hendrix tune, and he said Little Wing. And I said, I don't know that one. The ones I know are X and Y. And I told him why they were my favourites. And anyway, overnight, he became my Facebook friend and sent me a link to him playing his favourite Jimi Hendrix track on YouTube. And I went, oh my God, it's had 27,000 views.
Oh, wow.
This calm, quiet 61-year-old man with 8 guitars and a cat called Hendrix has had 500,000 hits on his YouTube site of him playing these guitars. And he's been in a band and all sorts.
Wow.
And I'm covering, I mean, it's thrilling, actually. It's thrilling. And also, he's such a fun man. It was his birthday this week, and on Facebook it said, Alec is 103, And there was a very funny debate about, what did I say? I said, I said something. I tried to say Jimi Hendrix and the cat Hendrix. I said, what's the plural of Hendrix? Is it Hendrixes? He says, there's no plural. Hendrix is just a thing. The cat is the spirit of Hendrix. Jimmy's in spirit. It's like there's just no plural of Hendrix. It's just ethereal. Oh, he was such fun. And his wife is lovely too, two-tone hair and, brilliant, just fun. But, the point is, here I am driving in this big rain down to meet 2 people I've never met before. And they turn out to be people you think, oh my God, I'd love these people to be my friends forever. So that, and actually, I just loved it more that he thinks music is about ears, and I see where he's coming from. So his music learning is all from his ears, and he thinks mine is all from my eyes, i.e., reading the score. And that's less emotional. Well, it isn't actually. It's just it's the same thing. We always discuss about kinesthetic or audio or whatever the other one is, video or whatever. Visual, yeah. So interesting. We could have debated. The poor wife could hardly get a word in edgeways with the 2 of us chatting. It was the same sort of energy that you can hear. But more unlikely, probably thought the same about me, more unlikely a man, a silver-haired retired engineer, to have 500,000 hits on his YouTube channel. You couldn't have imagined as you walked in through his front door.
No. And what I love about this story is how random it is. And
it's random. It's totally random. I love random.
Yeah. You couldn't have picked it. You couldn't have predicted it. It just
no. You can never imagine what's coming who or what's coming next into your life. And actually, we shouldn't. It's much more fun because of the unexpectedness of it.
Yeah, very true.
Anyway, I haven't finished about my week. Can I keep going?
Yes, absolutely.
Well, The Bodyguard is done. Thank goodness for that, because that used up a lot of... No spoilers. That used up a lot of emotional bandwidth.
Right.
And I need my emotional bandwidth because Strictly Come Dancing is an absolute marathon from now until Christmas, especially if you do the extra half an hour every day, which I do. But it's properly back now. I'm loving it. Last year, they inspired my love of nude nail polish, and I'm thrilled to see that they've brought that forward this year. So nude nail polish is still a thing.
Yeah.
And when I got back to my current base here in Somerset after Trowbridge on Sunday, I remembered how cold it is here. And within a couple of hours on Monday morning, I'd ordered thermal underwear, bed socks, an electric blanket from the bottom of my bed, a furry throw for the top of my bed, and some fingerless gloves to work in. And the bed socks have arrived, and I put them on immediately. And the fingerless gloves are here as well. But guess what? Today, 20 degrees it is here, and sunshine all day long. Couldn't make it up, could you?
You couldn't, and you couldn't make it up that today is our first seriously overcast day. The temperature has plummeted down to 21.
Oh, well, but you see now, you know what, 21 feels cold to you. It feels quite warm to me, because last weekend when I was coming back, it was like 9 and 10.
Oh,
I know. I know. 9 and 10 when I bought all those furry things, which, I mean, I do have my slippers on now, but no need yet for my fingerless gloves.
Well, fingerless gloves, you see, you're in the realms of me.
Well, I'm rocking a sort of early Madonna vibe, that's what I think. You remember? Like a Virgin holiday, she had the little gloves, didn't she, at the beginning?
She did indeed. They were lacy.
Yeah, if they were lacy. These could be nicer if they were lacy, but they wouldn't be thermal then, would they?
Yeah, that's true.
No. That's my week. Yes, I can draw breath there.
Yeah, absolutely. I know how that wife feels sometimes.
Which wife? Oh, that wife, absolutely. Yes, quite. Yes, poor woman. I think I barely got a word in edgeways. I mean, she looks absolutely fascinating too, but she didn't get a chance to speak.
Brilliant. Well, I went to a party last night next door, very conveniently. The ladies next door are back and entertaining. And then I came back and sat and talked with my brother until 2:30 in the morning, which was a bit random. We're doing a lot of talking while he's here. Catching up on our news, because we didn't really see each other for about 25 years because
yeah
to Australia, and that was that really. So we're catching up on a lot of that. We're having a lot of fun. I'm discovering how clever he is and how funny he is. And
why did he decide to go to Australia?
Well, my mother was completely barking, as you know,
but did he need to get that far away from her? Did you think?
Yeah, he did.
Okay.
He had a very bad time because he was the last one at home, really. So he was trying to cope with it.
How old is he now, Nicola?
10, 11 years younger than me. So
which would make him 40...
46, something like that.
Okay, yeah.
And the other thing is I've largely completed Pete's website, jointventuremasters.com, and I was musing on how clever I am because there's not many people who go in 3 weeks from bobbing about in the sea, having a business idea, to having a fully formed product with, website, marketing funnel, everything, and product ready to sell, and it's just being hooked up. Now it's there and ready to go, but it's being hooked up by my technical guy so that it automates the intake into my forum, because I realised I could use a new forum on my Zenforo to host it. So I'm, rather than having to use clunky sort of equipment that I'm not really familiar with to keep the cost down, I can just add a new thing on my forum, which is great. And I was just, I was just like, really pleased with myself now because that's done, and now it's just a question of honing and refining now, which is the bits I enjoy.
Well, let me tell you what I like about that story, much as you did with mine. Although you are a narcissist, self-confessed, which you did, you're not arrogant. So the fact that you were musing on how clever you are isn't something that you say a lot, and it's something that my beautician does when she's done marvellous manicure. She sits back and she goes, and I can see she's proud of her handiwork. I think we should be proud of our handiwork on a day when we know, or a period of time when we know we've done good work, because if we're not going to be proud of our handiwork, who is?
Absolutely.
I think that's a good thing. Honestly, I do.
Yeah. No, well, I don't. I don't normally. I always think of what else there is to learn.
Well, quite. Yeah. But now and again, when we know we've done good work, we should pat ourselves on the back.
21 years of experience. 22 years of experience coming together in a cataclysm of cleverness.
Yes, I know. Yeah.
Which leads me on to what's fueled my fire, because
draw breath. I can hear the side gate going, which means the postman delivering parcels or something. Hang on a sec. Sorry, might have to have a few of those today.
Okay.
It's all my furry things being delivered.
Yeah, you don't want to miss any of them, that's for sure.
Oh, quite, absolutely.
Yeah.
As you were, caller.
Yes. So leading on to something that made me realise how very not good I am at something.
Oh, okay. Well, it's a nice balance anyway.
Yeah,
what?
Exactly. Yeah, which is the Hemingway app, which you mentioned to me.
Oh, yeah.
Several times. I've been I want to apply for something, a creative writing course, and you've got to send off your first 5,000 words. And I thought I'd run my first 5,000 words through the Hemingway app, which tells me that I'm very, very, very prone to writing very long, complicated sentences. Yeah. And it also tells you how many adverbs. It tells you when you're using passive voice, which I've got no idea what that is.
Yes.
And when phrases have simple alternatives. But what it says, my sentences, lots of my sentences are very hard to read. And I read them back and I think, I don't know how to make this simpler.
Well, hang on a minute, because it's a thing that we learned to do very well in internet marketing and blogs and newsletters, to make the sentences much shorter than I would naturally in real life.
Yes.
So you can do it in your other writing, in your commercial writing.
Well, I don't want to. That's the point.
Well, in this, you mean?
Yeah, because I have elegant sentences that I don't want to make more.
But you can take a viewpoint on this, which is that the world's reading age is 12, I think, isn't it?
Yes.
Well, Sodom, I'm not writing for them.
Yeah, exactly.
However, I think we would be muppets if we didn't take some heed of this, because I don't think this is a weird thing. I think this is closer to where we want to be in the end.
Yes. I mean, for example, A girl, I've got a little piece here.
Yes, do read it. Yeah.
A girl woke from a long, deep, dreamless sleep in a large sunlit room with billowing white curtains and the sound of waves breaking against the shore. That's telling me that's a hard-to-read sentence.
Read it again.
A girl woke from a long, deep, dreamless sleep in a large, sunlit room with billowing white curtains and the sound of waves breaking against the shore.
A lot of descriptive words. And, yeah, I suppose you could break it into two. What's it recommending?
It's just telling me it's hard to read.
Yeah, there's about 4 things in it. A girl woke from a something sleep. What was the sleep?
A long, deep, dreamless sleep in a large sunlit room with.
Right, hang on a minute. So the girl woke from a. Sorry, I'm going to have to pop up this thing because it's quite interesting. This. So she woke from. So there's 4 facts in here. She woke from a long, deep, dreamless sleep. So she woke from sleep, and you give us 3 words to describe her sleep. Then you give us 2 words to describe her room. 2 words to describe her curtains, and then the waves are doing something. So it is actually quite a long, complicated sentence, even though I take your point very much, which is there's no hard words in it.
Yeah, and then it said she was holding something in her hand and bringing it up to her face, one eye squinting against the bright sunshine. She realised it was a small shell carved with a double spiral.
Yes, I might put a full stop after sunshine. I think that's what it's asking you to do.
Really? Okay.
Yes. Well, no, it's saying, yeah, oh, look.
Oh, yeah.
See?
Yes. More full stops required then, obviously.
Well, exactly. That's exactly what it's saying, because it makes it hard to read if you go on too long.
Yeah, I am prone to that, I must say.
But actually, when you're reading your books, your fiction, notice the sentence length, what needs to be long and complicated with 4 different points in it and what doesn't.
Well, I'm very tempted to type in some of the sentences from my favourite
because,
authors.
of course, the author doesn't have to obey this.
That's true.
And that's the debate I have all day long with Grammarly about, do I really need a comma there?
I have removed all my adverbs, so that's and I think it is better for that.
Oh my God, the next one is a bit. You're purple, aren't you? Overly descriptive. Read that next sentence as well.
Opening the other eye and sitting up, she looked around at the white-on-white room, white bed linen on a white bed, white curtains with the hint of deep blue sea in the distance, white rug on a pale wooden floor. All strange, but welcoming nonetheless.
Well, the last sentence is fine, of course, but the first one goes on a bit, doesn't it? Goes on a bit to make your point. And does it need to go on a bit to make your point?
Yes, it does.
You feel it does.
White.
Well, you feel it does.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, but you probably don't have to hammer it home like that.
Okay.
I mean, that's a room I'd want to live in.
Yeah, I know. And that's what I'm aiming at, is to paint.
Oh, I wonder whether you need to say white on white, because if you say the bed linen's white and the bed is white and the curtains are white and the rug is right, you make that bit redundant, don't you?
It's still red and complicated.
Yes, because it's too long. You make too many points in each thing. That's what it's telling you.
I thought that was what descriptive writing was.
Well, yes, but not everything needs to be descriptive. Otherwise, we'd be exhausted, wouldn't we?
Well, funny you should say that, because she had no idea who or where she was, but she was not afraid. Feeling a deep underlying exhaustion, both physical and emotional, she stretched and pulled on a handy white satin dressing gown over her simple white cotton shift, then touched her bare feet to the wall.
Yeah, they're all too long, these sentences. I totally agree with them.
Okay, I'm going to put some more full stop.
Hang on, now there's somebody at my door, so you do the editing while I do that. Hang on.
Okay.
Anyway, fun game, Nicola.
I know, yes, and I've just managed to turn that whole paragraph from read and deeply complicated to perfectly readable with the didn't for one full stop.
Well, isn't that interesting? So that, if that's all you've learned from this, that's brilliant. Yes. Hemingway App's taught you haven't got enough full stops. It's all breathless.
Yes. Yeah, there you go. Well, anyway, it's really important because I need this 5,000 words.
Yes, and I don't know that you need that word nonetheless. It's all strange but welcoming. Doesn't that say what you mean?
I could just get rid of that whole thing. There we go.
No, I liked it.
Oh, right.
Just don't like nonetheless on the end.
Oh, right, okay.
You don't need it, do you? All strange but welcoming, or whatever it says. That's quite a nice thing.
Okay, good. Well, there you go then.
Anyway, what fun.
Yeah, so, highly recommend this app. It's really
good.
I think.
Yes.
And, if only to get rid of adverbs. But do you know what passive voice is?
Yes, I do. It's... active voice is, my name is Judith Morgan, I'm sitting on my bed talking to Nicola on the thing. Yeah. Passive voice is, Judith Morgan was sitting on her bed talking to Nicola on the thing. Active, I am doing it. Passive, someone is describing me doing it.
Yes, but if your point of view is third person.
Yes.
Omniscient, which is what this is.
You just can't mix it. you're all right. It's perfectly all right to do it. You just can't mix it.
Okay.
Unless you where you can mix it is in the dialogue, because then the person's talking in the first person.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, there you go. I've learned something else new this morning.
Well, no, but what I like about this, I'm sorry if we're boring the listener, but what I like about this is nobody else could teach us what we've just learnt this morning via an app. We'd have to go to grammar lessons for ages, but the learning was so fast when we made a sentence shorter by putting in a full stop halfway through. And now we see.
Yeah.
Readability grade 8. That's interesting. I wonder what that means. What does grade 8 mean?
I don't know. It's an American thing, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Well, we have grades in England. I don't know what they mean. If you haven't got children, it's difficult to know what that means.
Yeah.
Exciting.
Okay. Well, I'll press on and let
Has
you know.
Has that cheered you up?
Yes, it has actually. Because I can see how I can make all these red paragraphs not red anymore.
Yes. Mind you, they are advisory, so you don't have to agree with it.
Yeah, good point. But I am still going to put in one of my favourite authors in there.
Yes, I think that's a good idea. I'd love to hear what happens with that.
Because Michael Marshall Smith writes endless sentences.
Well, and there's style issues as well, you see. But that's something that your readers would either like or not like.
Yeah. And I like his, so there you go. Okay, so what's fueled your fire then?
Oh, I don't know. I can't see it anymore because you've got your app all over my notes. Hang on a minute. Okay, planning my future, not something I do all of the time, and it's been cloudy and out of focus for ages, but I felt inspired in the middle of the night this week, a couple of sleepless nights because of a full moon. For ages I've been keeping long lists on Trello and on my iPad of things I want in the world, and this week I managed to whittle them down to just a very few. I'm not going to tell you what they are today. Simplicity is key. I feel that, I know you're going to be shocked and a bit cross with me about this, I feel that 2019 might be another sabbatical year. Current clients, don't worry, I shall continue to look after them, but it might mean an embargo on new ones. And it's my current dream to come off all social media. You can just deactivate Facebook, so there's no need to burn your boats if you want to reverse that decision later on. I honestly think that Twitter could go just like LinkedIn did before it. I got rid of LinkedIn. I played with LinkedIn for, I don't know, decade, came off once, went back on again, never got anything from it, pressed the button, get rid of it, nothing, didn't notice anything. I think I could do the same with Twitter, to be honest with you. I don't think it has any value in my life whatsoever.
I agree. So, the only thing that I'm staying on Twitter for is because a lot of writers and agents and people like that are on it. Because the more writerly types like it.
Yes.
And Facebook I can't come off because that's where I get all my traffic.
Well, I can't at the moment either, but I'm looking forward to having a holiday from Facebook.
So does this sabbatical in 2019 depend on anything happening?
Yes, it does, and you know what it depends on. But this week, all of that felt like it was as close as it could ever be, and that's why I thought, right, I can actually make some proper plans now, but we'll see.
Yeah, funny you should say that, because I've been thinking about next year as well. I wasn't in a place to even think beyond getting through the day before, and now when you suddenly find yourself making plans for next April, you think, oh my God.
Yeah, and you've made them for January as well, haven't you? Yeah. You're going to Australia for months on end. Yeah.
So because of course the listener probably doesn't know that you had a dream of going to live somewhere specific, and then it was devastated by hurricane. It was
devastated by a hurricane in September last year. It's coming back a bit. I don't know whether it's ready for me yet. They do bounce back from hurricanes, but not overnight. Hurricane season is, non-hurricane season, when I would happily be there, is 7 months starting on the 1st of December, so up to the 30th of June. And you're reasonably safe in July and August, but September, October, well, we've just seen it, haven't we? We've just seen big typhoons and things. It gets a bit scary. And I'm not very, Emma, that I share a house with, is 10 years younger than me and as fit as a flea, and I'm quite wobbly on my pins, as you know. If you're going to survive a hurricane, you need to be Bear Grylls, really. And I'm so not Bear Grylls or even Emma. I wouldn't like being grubby or wet or without the things I take for granted and damaged and hospitals not working and wanting to be airlifted out and people worried about me. I wouldn't like that at all.
No, you'd have to leave, wouldn't you, for those?
Yes, and in the decade I've been waiting to go there, I've got considerably more old ladyish. So and it's still on my cards.
Okay. So tell us about our focus of the week then.
Oh, yes. Well, no, you haven't told me what's fueled your fire yet.
Yeah, I did. It was the Hemingway app.
Oh, was it? You
Yeah.
segued straight in from your week. Okay, all right. Well, we're going to focus this week on our guest, who is cartoonist Richard Pettitt. And he chose as his topic, surprising your clients. He's got at least 3 cartoons. One's called Ujo and Bink, another called Drizzle Cake, and another Think versus Say. I'd be hard-pressed to choose which one I like best about those. They're all funny. So he can actually write words as well as draw pictures. You think cartoons are pictures? They're not. If you didn't have good words with them, and you got to actually, the words that go with cartoons are even harder because you only got a few of them. And as we know from the exercise we just put ourselves through, a few words are much harder than more words. Anyway, he tells us that he originally wanted to be a script writer, and when I worked with him in Small Business Big Magic, he was a very thoughtful. He always paces himself, doesn't do anything. He's not like us. He's not like rash and makes decisions and takes the action tonight. He's very well paced, and he put himself through, not for the first time, I think, morning pages. And he tells us in this how much the morning pages reminded us that he loves to make people laugh, and he loves jokes and videos and cartoons. So this thing about surprising your clients was also about taking yourself lightly. And he made me realize that I've been too serious, and more thoughts could go into what my last ever accounting client used to call crew delight to keep us all going when life is grueling. And actually, he inspired you to give us a cracking example too, which I won't spoil. Let's see if you can remember while we're listening to Richard. How the devil are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Yeah, W.
Good. I'm very well, thank you. Now, meet Nicola. You've not met Nicola before. Richard is a cartoonist, Nicola.
I know. I've looked at some of his cartoons and I enjoyed them immensely.
They're marvellous, aren't they?
Thanks, Nicola. Cheers.
Now, Richard, we've done Reese this morning, who turned out to be a vicar, a former alcoholic, who runs a podcast that I think you'll like. It's for social enterprises and for social good. No pressure. So now we go to your wonderful artiness. What I'd like you to do, please, is just take a minute or two to introduce yourself to our audience, and then we'll come and talk about your surprising topic.
Wow. Okay. Well, I'm a cartoonist, as you said. I write and draw comics and cartoons, and I share them on the internet for everyone to enjoy, basically. Generally on social media and on my website. There's 2 weekly webcomics I make. One is called Ujo and Bink, and that's I could tell you a little bit about an alien prince exiled on planet Earth with his closest aid, which sounds a bit bonkers, but it's actually about 2 very different people living together. Right. And the other comic is called Drizzle Cake. And that's an autobiographical one, or a slice of life comic, as they call it. So that's about me and my life. My girlfriend features quite a lot in that, generally because she's a bit funnier than me. And that's quite good. As long as I draw her with glossy hair and looking slim, she doesn't mind. And the other thing I do is a weekly cartoon called Think versus Say. That's a quick black and white cartoon. Yeah. 2 characters having a conversation, one person thinking something very different to what they're saying. So that's generally what I'm sharing online.
I'm going to make an observation, Richard.
Okay.
I mean, I think versus Say this week was so good I had to read it out loud to somebody that was in the room with me. But listening to you talking about a slice of life, for instance, about the drizzle cake, you're as good with words. You're as good with words as you are with pictures? Is that essential for a cartoonist, do you think?
Good question. I think you need to be good with words in the sense that you need to be able to be concise with them.
Yeah.
With very wordy cartoons and comics, people can't be bothered to read through, I think.
No, so you need to be quite clever then in few words.
Yes, that's a nice way of putting it. Yeah.
Yeah. Or funny, or both.
Yeah, and a bit like script writing, kind of coming in quite late as possible and going out as quickly as possible, making it, yeah. Was
this something you always wanted to do, Richard?
Oh, kind of. I've always wanted to draw cartoons. I've always been drawing cartoons, actually. Even when I denied that I was doing it, I was drawing people's cards and things. I actually started off really wanting to be a script writer, and I did a bit of training in that when I was younger. I just fell off into other different kinds of work, office work, school work, that kind of thing. But yeah, I'd always drawn cartoons for fun. But
and you like our man before you, are a force for good. I know you've stopped doing it now, but you've been working, is it Bernardo's in the school holidays? Tell us a little bit about that.
For the last 4 years I've been working with Bernardo's, supporting children and young people with special needs during school holidays and also weekends. Yeah. And that came about because I used to be in teaching. Wanted to carry on working with kids with special needs, but in a different way. So it's been lots of play, and that's been really good fun with them.
Yeah.
Helps them out, and that work has come to an end, unfortunately, because of just lack of funding.
Yes.
Money issues with charities changes quite a lot. But I've just kind of been scooped up by a new community interest company. So I'll be doing similar kind of work, less of it, but I'll be doing similar kind of work, which is great.
Yeah. And I know that keeps body and soul together, but actually it's more important than that to you, isn't it?
Yeah, it's something I need. I don't know, something I love doing. It's so, it's human, it's face to face, it's being at the coalface kind of work, and it's helping people, like literally helping people in front of you. Whereas in some work it feels very distant. You don't know really what effect you're having on the world.
Yeah.
So
when you're at home then doing your cartoons mostly by yourself, that's the sort of antidote. You've got that sort of at home quiet work, and then the go out help the world work.
Absolutely.
Not cartoons don't help the world, but it's a nice yin and yang, isn't it?
Yeah, both jobs kind of complement two sides of my personality.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. Right, now, so this little message here says, my topic is the element of surprise. When is it okay to surprise your clients, customers and followers, and when is it not okay? Over to you.
Oh, well, yeah. Surprised me there. I guess it came about because I learned that I love surprising people, and it's something I kind of learned through doing some morning pages and working out what I love doing. And it kind of happens in my work generally during, the jokes in my cartoons and comics. And occasionally when I post a video, I don't always tell people I'm going to do it, and up it comes. And I love the reaction that gets. And I noticed recently you were talking about Elon Musk launching a red Tesla into space. That kind of surprise that delights people. And what effect that has on people. I think that's great. But when it comes to business, it seems like a lot of the received wisdom is, don't surprise your clients, customers, followers too much. Warm them up, keep them informed and consult them, and warm up to a sale. So I just kind of wondered what you think about, the element of surprise in business. When is it a good thing to surprise your customers, and when is it not? I can think of some examples. Like I say, if you're going to sell something and launch something, you do want to warm them up, but when it comes to publicity stunt, you want to surprise them. I just wonder if there are other examples you can think of, or examples in your own businesses where surprise has worked or hasn't worked.
Well, I'm just about to launch a new initiative which involves an element of surprise, and it's called Bonjouro, where I get notified of new subscribers to my mailing list, and I send them a personal video.
Nice.
Which is going to surprise the heck out of them.
Yes, I'm trying to think. What came to my mind when you were talking about Elon Musk and the red Tesla was probably slightly before your time, but when I was... Remind me how old you are, Richard.
I'm 38.
Yeah, when I was about your age or a bit younger, Richard Branson was a bit of a joke because he kept trying to fly around the world in hot air balloons and getting himself into scrapes in adventures that turned into misadventures. And we used to sort of tut and go, there he is having another, pampered, privileged, financed attempt at some sort of world record and failing. But actually it didn't do his brand any harm at all because it got him, front and center. I don't know that it was surprising because he kept repeating it. I suppose the surprise is that he's leveraged it into this global brand.
The stunts have not hurt him at all, have they?
No, and they threatened to at the beginning because they kept failing. But, some people, of course, would admire that if at first you don't succeed, try again. And they, of course, they were aligned because they were airborne, and Virgin, after the records was about planes. So it's an interesting thing. Yes, Nicola.
When you think about him, he was on a ruthless pursuit of success, but the slightly boy's own kind of image he was projecting with those stunts made him very approachable and very friendly seeming, and not and I think that's and that's what Elon Musk thing did. I'd always thought of him as I haven't even read his book yet, but I'd always thought of him as a fairly humorless driven person who wasn't much fun to be around, a bit like Steve Jobs, I suppose. But with that one stunt, he let people know that he had a sense of humour, and it got him so much publicity, which then enabled him to talk about how he was never going to give up, and how this was his big quest, and how he honestly expected it to fail yet again. So he was as surprised as anyone else when it succeeded. And I think in one fell swoop, he made himself human, approachable, relatable, just turned himself from a cartoon character into a real person.
Which is the antidote to what we were taught when we were growing up about business and being professional, isn't it?
Yes.
And now I'm wondering, Richard, obviously this comes naturally to you. I like surprise and delight. We've always talked about that. One of Nicola's and my shared mentors was Thomas Leonard, who used to say, talk about adding value for the joy of it or something. Yeah. But what I'm realizing as I'm listening to you put this thesis forward is that perhaps I might have, as my life's got more serious, I might have forgotten to be a natural at this, and therefore I might have to reintroduce it in terms of, if I were launching something new, how could I make that fun?
Absolutely. I think, I think a lot of the thing about surprise is that delight, that fun element. And whenever I'm sort of setting something like new up, I can't help. I just get an idea pops into your head, and you might think it's really silly and really crazy, but I've learned to just grab it and act on it anyway.
Yeah. So, I don't think it's silly or crazy. And what I like about your story is that the idea pops up. And I think what's happened to me is that the ideas have stopped popping up. That's what you're making me realize. And so I might have to kind of encourage them deliberately for a bit until I get back into that natural zone where they do that.
Whenever I order a box of contact lenses, they always send me some, what are they? Hang on a second. I always get a packet of Haribos included in them. Now, I don't actually like Haribos, and they don't naturally go with contact lenses, but I always open them and think, I wonder if my Haribos are in there. It's quite a nice little thing to do, isn't it? And I think a lot of social enterprise orientated companies are starting to think about things like that. How can you surprise and delight your customers by sending them something that they weren't expecting?
That's it. I think delight's a good word, isn't it? I think you can delight people. That's really nice. And what struck me just then was it reminded me of how people have used business cards in different ways. Not traditional business cards, but a cake or something sent to a company or with their stuff on, or
lumpy mail. It's called. If you send someone something in the post, they are going to open it and they are going to remember you.
Yeah,
that's the thing, isn't it? Yeah. So it just reminded me of how people use. I guess it kind of verges on publicity stunts, doesn't it? But it's thinking creatively about how to delight someone.
Yeah.
In the last ever accounting job I ever had, which turned out to be like a family in a way, and I worked for them for far longer than I should, they ran events, and they used to have big teams of exhausted people in their 30s project managing these events, and there would be a budget item in the expenditure plan called Crew Delight, which basically was little bribes to keep the crew going in very long days. So fun things like yo-yos, little games that you could play for 5 minutes. You'd like it, Richard. Little games and sweeties and madcap little things that just make you go ha ha, and that sort of raises your spirits and keeps your head in the game, as it were, during an arduous job. And we used to do that, Nicola. I brought that to the events that we used to do together. So you have like chocolate, because we did money rated events, we would have chocolate coins and things like that, just things to make people go, oh, that's a fun idea. I think I do have it in me. I think you're making me realise it's been beaten out of me by life over the last decade.
Exactly. I think everybody has it, and everyone has this kind of playfulness in them, the childishness in them. And I think those ideas do pop into people's heads. I think it's just we're very quick to crush them. And,
because
and talk yourselves out of them because the thought of doing them make you feel silly or
because we're grown up now, and we should play. We should, and actually, what Musk and Branson are reminding us is that there's that. I mean, play, as you know, is a word I feel a bit icky about, but but I get the print. I'm not icky about the principle. I think it's because it ties back to childhood, which wasn't a great experience for me, but fun. Or I can reframe this easily. Play, not my thing. Play, definitely your thing. I enjoy your play. I enjoy your little videos of your basketball playing all by yourself and things like that. I can enjoy other people's play. I just don't really want to play all that much myself.
We went, as you know, Judith, we had a Christmas on Wednesday. People actually, I'm going to say retired people really know how to play because they've got a lot of time to fill. So we had a full Christmas lunch on Wednesday, Richard, and I won't go into why, but it was great fun. And the whole garden had been decorated with Christmas decorations, and we had we played different forms of charade type games, and it was just the most delightful thing on a Wednesday.
Wonderful.
Funnily enough, I'm not averse to charades, and one of the things I like best about Christmas, certainly in decades gone by, is how we turn off the telly and amuse the children by playing games, and we do that across all generations, and everybody loves it because you're with each other, aren't you?
Connection again. That's a theme running today, Judith.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, you picked up on a word called time. I mean, time is necessary to be a bit playful. I think,
So like a space, you mean room in your life?
Yeah, a little bit of room, because I mean, I made that video about the solopreneur meeting, and I did that because I knew I had a day or two that I could use. I kind of try and either day at the end of the week, basically kind of Thursday, to kind of be a bit more playful. Just make a bit of space in the week.
Do you know what I thought when I was watching that video with all the different hats and outfits? I thought, oh my God, it must have taken him days to do that.
The actual filming was one day, as I shaved off my beard in stages. But, and the flat was empty. I had to make use of a flat while it was empty one day. So,
I think you must have to script it all out in advance so you knew what you were going to do when, so that you knew
exactly.
Each bit of face
so I was so I was scripting out. So on the previous Thursday, I would have been scripting it, and then the next Thursday after that, I might have tightened up a bit, and then Thursday after that, and then film it. So it did take a bit of time, but.
So my question would be, tell me about your enjoyment of creating that, Richard.
Oh, it's anticipation of having the final thing. Once you've got that silly idea, it's anticipation of how it's going to go down. So that keeps me going through it. So
you're thinking, even though you're going through hard bits, you're thinking, I can't wait to show this to people.
I know, I can't wait to show it. It's exciting.
Yeah.
Excited about something.
And where we haven't mentioned your domain name or URL yet, Richard. And where people can find you if they like the sound of and they want to watch this video of you having a solopreneur meeting, which is very funny.
Okay, to see the YouTube video, just type solopreneur team meeting.
Oh, very good. So you're dominating the phrase for that, are you already?
I hope so. That's what did pop up. Or just I would search by my name, Richard Pettitt.
With four T's. Richard Pettitt with 4 T's. I was going to say with 2 T's twice, but 4 T's. 2 in the middle and 2 at the end.
Once. That's right. I do have a website as well if you want to find me that. So richardpettitart.com.
Very nice.
And I'm generally on social media under Richard Pettitt Art.
And I'm going to say, because today is the day, that you can also, because Richard is one of our patrons, I don't know how you say it, and I'm now one of yours, Richard. I hope I'm your first.
Yeah, you are.
Because he went live with his Patreon page today. So if we like these cartoons, we can pay Richard cake chunks of money, all described in cakes. I think I went for a I don't know what sort of a cake. What was the third level of cake, Richard?
Chocolate lava cake.
Yeah, chocolate lava cake. That's it. Don't do Christmas cakes. That was a turn off. But I do quite like the what's the sluggy one you get from Marks and Spencer's? The
caterpillar cake.
Yes, I nearly went for him. But the cake thing. That's what I meant about the cleverness with the words at the beginning. The cake euphemism. Is that what we would call it? Not lost on me. Cake analogy, yes.
Links up with my drizzle cake comic, yeah.
Yes, gorgeous. Got the cake thing, yeah. So welcome to Patreon. I hope that goes really well for you. And I think that cartoons, weekly and monthly cartoons, is it weekly and fortnightly or weekly and monthly?
I do weekly comics and cartoons, yeah. Three new things a week at the moment.
Oh, the 3 or a weekly. Well, I think it's a perfect thing for being patronised, or however the word is. I don't know what the verb is of Patreon, but I do think it's the perfect thing for that, don't you?
I think art subscription, isn't it? If you enjoy
yes, and actually, we were saying to Richard ages ago, we'd pay for this. Come on, invite us to pay for it, and today's the day. Brilliant.
Thank you. Yeah, it's nice to be prompted to get on it.
So, what are we thinking then about surprises and delight? We're all for it, aren't we?
Delight, yeah. We need to delight people. We need to make a little bit of room in our week. Play a little bit, not necessarily play, but just be mischievous, be bold, and just try and delight people in different ways. And when that silly idea pops into your head, don't necessarily cast it out, but try and act on it and tell it. Just try it.
A long time ago, Judith, when we were studying wealth creation, there was that thing where you just leave £1 occasionally somewhere.
Oh yes.
And you just on random bits of
There's a fabulous book. I forget what it's called now, but it only takes an hour to read. I'll see if I can find it, and you might like this, Richard. You leave £1 coin in a place for people to find. Or in a little nook and cranny in the lift, or in a nook and cranny in a wall, or in the egg box in Tesco's, or things like that. And you can, if you're up for a £5, you leave them with a note on saying, please enjoy this with love from me, and pass it forward and things. So little it's to encourage abundance, obviously, but you know, if you see a penny, pick it up all day long, you'll have good luck, or whatever it is. It's quite fun ideas.
Quite nice to imagine how someone reacts when they find it. Yeah,
absolutely, which you'll never know, which is sort of magical as well, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's training your brain to think you've always got more coming. And I loved it, and the thought of just finding, and you imagine if you found £1, you'd be sort of a bit hesitant to pick it up, wouldn't you? But then you'd have a look around and see if anyone could see you, and then and it's not enough to feel that you have to hand it in £1, is it? That's the thing.
Yes, no, you're right. It's your good fortune, isn't it?
Yeah. And you know, especially when you go, I am a money magnet. I am.
I'm going to do that yet, but maybe I'll do that and film it. Yeah.
So actually, what you're reminding us and encouraging us is to not talk down those silly ideas that come to all of us if we leave space for them.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Very nice. Yeah. Lovely. All encouraged. Thanks, Richard.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Okay. See you on.
Yeah.
Take care. Bye.
Bye. He's a lovely man, isn't he?
He certainly is. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, and I'm a Queenie patron of his, which meant he did that lovely little cartoon of me that I use on my.
Makes me smile every time.
Yes, it's sweet, isn't it? Yes, he totally gets me, which is lovely, and that must be part of his natural talents that he gets people so easily, even people he's never met.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to have one done one day. What's your word of the week then?
You go first. I feel quite blabby.
Well, you feel like you're talking a lot.
Yes,
you always do. So why are you noticing it more this week?
Well, because it doesn't. By comparison, you've been a bit quiet.
Yes, reticent.
when you're blabby too, I'm more happy about my blabbiness, or even more happiness about my blabbiness.
It's cloudy is my word, because it isn't all cloudy, which is a bit of a shock to the system when you've had relentless sunshine for the last few months. And it reminds me that the winter's coming, and that I've got my wood in, so I'm all right there. And I just need to start digging out some warmer clothes. I might even need a bed covering on a sheet soon.
Tell me about it.
What about you?
Mine's assertiveness, because it's turned out to be word of the week around here. And it's much misunderstood, assertiveness, because it sounds to women as though it means aggressive.
Yeah.
And it doesn't. It's that lovely balanced place in the middle where you can ask for your own needs to be met.
Yes, and you have to, it's really hard. I mean, you know, we've talked about boundaries many times, haven't we? And so you have to know what your boundaries are before you can be assertive and in a non-aggressive way.
I think we always know what we want. We just don't know how to ask for it. And assertiveness is the answer to that. So it's assertiveness. I've branded Assertiveness Week in my business because it came up once and then it came up again. I think I said accidentally to a client who I think is a listener, I think you could step up your game a bit. And she said, what do you mean? I said, I think you could just be, they're feeding back to you how great you are. Be more assertive in the way you respond to them. And the next morning, she excelled even my expectations, and it was brilliant. She said, well, you did say step up. It's like, I need to be careful what I'm wishing for. And then another woman came on, and I said, I think you could take that nice girl phrase out of the middle. I said, it's Assertiveness Week around here. We're going for what we want, and we're asking for it nicely, but not fluffily.
Yes. Nicely, but not fluffily.
Well, it's okay to ask for what you want, and you don't need to put in nice, squidgy, softening phrases in the middle so that people still think you're a nice girl. They're not going to think you're a nasty girl just because you're asking for what you need in any contract or agreement.
I'm still practicing saying no. I haven't got to the point of asking for what I want.
Well, you have really, but I think the thing is, what we're talking about is saying no and asking for our needs to be met directly, not round the houses.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think you get what you want. You just go around the houses for it. Whereas assertiveness is just directly there. It's how men behave. It's old-fashioned men, not new modern men that do hand-wringing like us girls. But it's a nice thing. Look up the definition if you don't know team. It's a perfectly nice thing. There's no aggression in it.
Very good.
But we don't need to pad it with, but I still love you, or any kind of nonsense like that.
Fascinating. Especially, it's a wordy old week this week.
It is a wordy old week.
My word of the week to wordy.
Well, I was going to have warmth after I bought all of those things, but then assertiveness kept cropping up, and I thought, I need to change my word of the week.
Okay, so project updates then. I've told you about Joint Venture Masters. We are number 73 in the iTunes chart. We've crept up to number 79 to number 73, which is
okay.
We're just ahead of Ask Pat and Zig Ziglar Show, and we're just behind Youpreneur, which is Chris Ducker, who's very well known, and This Week in Startups, which is very well thought of, and Dan Meredith as well, who has a huge following. So I'm very happy with our location.
What's interesting about this is clearly they don't have the same expectations we do. It's just something in their marketing mix, because actually, if we're that close to all of those great people, why isn't it working even better for us?
When we say working, let's define working, because I think you've got a different definition of a podcast that works than I have. A podcast that works for me is one that reminds people that we're there in a non-pushy kind of way.
Yeah, but it reminds 400 people a week. I'd like it to be 4,000 people a week. How many is Ask Pat getting? And yet we're higher up the chart than him.
Yes, but he had a massive mailing list. He had like an 80,000 strong mailing list.
So a podcast won't make you bigger, you make your podcast bigger.
Yes. But what a podcast does do is deliver really intimate reminders, reminders that you're there, what you're expert in and how you can help people in a really intimate way. It's what Dean Jackson calls a during marketing exercise. He talks about before, during and after. And a podcast, I think, is all three. It attracts new people to you. It reminds people that know you're there, that you're still there and you can still help them. And it also reminds previous clients and current clients about you so that they've got a way of forwarding you on.
Okay.
I think.
Okay.
So, yes, I'm still very keen on them. So, the thing that really winds me up, though, is a lot of these podcasts are dead as dodos. They are not being added to. And they're not slipping down the chart because of that. I think iTunes should at least make it a condition that only people who are still adding to their podcast should be in the charts at any one time, which is just really very annoying. But there you go. What other projects have I got? I'm about to apply for this creative writing thing, and apart from that, everything's just rolling on as normal at Clicks and Leads Academy. I've been automated again, so I went through that phase of simplifying everything.
Yeah.
I now have automated it again through Drip, my new mailing list host, and I didn't do it. I've got a techie guy who's really brilliant, and he did it for me. So everything happens now, and people get their logins without me having to send them an email and send them and manually log them into the site and set them up.
And sorry, could we go back to the creative writing thing? What are you applying for? You don't need to give me names or money or anything. Just tell me what. Is it 6 months or a year or 5 minutes?
It's a year, and it's for people who've written their first 15,000 words already to get them to 30,000 words or more.
Yeah.
I wanted to apply for it and try for a scholarship because, there is a financial investment involved.
Yeah.
And I didn't get that. So I'm applying for it nonetheless because I think the discipline of having to submit X number of words a month and get them critiqued by my peers and some really successful writers will help me. It will make me do it.
I agree. It's also taking yourself seriously, isn't it?
Yeah, and also when you apply to agents and things, they often say, what creative writing, have you invested in yourself in terms of, they expect you to have been on creative writing courses.
Yeah, so it wouldn't be enough to say I'm on Hemingway App with Judith for 5 minutes on Wednesday morning.
And it wouldn't be enough to say I'm a member of a writing group and we run a writing
No, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they do expect you to take yourself seriously.
And write and seek to improve your writing all the time, every day for the rest of your life.
Yeah. And that's something it's a great hobby for me. I think that will take me through the winter quite nicely.
Yeah, okay.
What about you then?
Well, nothing of my own, but I wanted to talk to you and the listener about our 200th show, which is coming up. Today is 197. So in 3 weeks' time, our 200th show is coming up. And I put a message in our Facebook group to ask if the group members would like to contribute to that. And Joe Dodds shared a message for you, which I'm not sure you've seen, recommending an app called iPadio. And this is what she says. She says, if you log in via the browser version, Nicola, it will give you a number and a pin for people to call in, and then it just stacks the recordings in your account for you. Now that, I think, you've got to have a look at from our technical perspective. It sounds easy. Now, Andrea Jordan, who is one of our listeners in New Zealand, she suggested people can record their own and submit their own little Zoom snippets. But actually, I think you would prefer to have all the recordings stacked up for you in a recording. I think the contributions become a recording, if that makes sense, rather than you having to fiddle about too much. I mean, it's more cumbersome, I think, Andrea's way, if we can make the stacker work. But could you have a look and let me know what you think? Because I'd like to get a message out to our loyal listeners if they'd like to just phone in and leave a snippet for us. That works on the BBC. I can't imagine why it wouldn't work for us. And I think it's called iPadio, like iPad with IO on the end.
Okay.
If you go into our group, Joe's got a message in there for you. She's tagged you in it as well, but I knew you've been out on the road with Alex all week, so you hadn't seen it. But I tell you what, at the very least, it will be perhaps, could be useful for us, but your experience of it as a gizmo would be useful for the listener as well, because people who want user-generated audio content and contributions to their own podcasts and other things, whatever we're going to find out by using it, if indeed we do, you might say to me, oh, I've tried it, I didn't like it, we're not doing it. But you might say the opposite. Yeah. So I think it could be a focus of the week is our experience of setting that up and using it, and whether it helped or whether it's difficult or easy, or, I've got a feeling it might be really easy.
Well, that'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think we just have to give people, just say here, you give people a number and a pin for them to call, and then it stacks the recordings in your account for you. Well, that sounds gorgeous, doesn't it?
Yes, it does, yeah.
As long as it's compatible with what you then go on and how you then go on and edit a show.
Yes. And what are we hoping people will say?
Well, we're not hoping anything yet. I'm thinking maybe the focus of the week could be, depending on what we get. I mean, if we get 3 contributions, it's not. But even if we get 3 contributions, we can pepper them in like those little musical, the champagne corks and the fireworks that we do on birthdays, New Year. If we get 3 contributions, we'll use them like that. If we get 33 contributions, they could be our focus, couldn't they?
That'd be great, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Because that's the thing that will keep us going, isn't it?
It will. Not just that, but it would be lovely if people... Once we're ready, we'll tell them how to use it. But if they could, my favourite show was I laughed like a drain and snorted my tea when the one thing I learn from you every week is, it would be great if we could lead them a bit. And we would be surprised and interested by their content. And actually we could comment on some of their contents in a way that's useful.
Yeah. Okay, well...
And actually, if it works and they keep coming in afterwards, that might be a way we could get focuses of the week in future. Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah, that'd be good. That'd be good. Who or what's impressed you this week?
Well, I've got 2 Facebook-related ones, which is bizarre given what I said earlier on. But the first one is... the 2 guys, Kevin and Mike, who started Instagram 8 years ago and then sold it to Facebook 2 years later, have resigned this week.
Oh.
No surprise to me, of course. They're creators and innovators, and they can't work for anyone else. If you look on TechCrunch, you'll see Instagram founders leave. Big news this week. Now, there's a hint that they couldn't get on with the big Z, the big Zuckerberg, but actually, I don't think it's that. I think, no, you can't. When you're a creator and innovator and you start something, you sell it to somebody else, why on earth they thought they could go and do a job? I don't know. I do know why Zuckerberg would have wanted them, because when you're the creator, you want that continuity of the people to come with. But they want to start something new.
Yeah, of course they do, because
that's their thing. Absolutely right. And now the other one, I think you're going to like this very much if you haven't already discovered it. Facebook Watch.
Yes, I have discovered it, yes.
Like Netflix, TV streaming for free via Facebook. Now, it took me some finding. After reading a great review in The Guardian for a show called Sorry for Your Loss, which is 6 half-hour programmes, it's got one of my favourite actresses in it, I thought, I need to go and find this. It takes some finding. It seems that each show has its own page. So you can't go to a place like Netflix or BBC iPlayer. You've got to go to Facebook. You can't even find Facebook Watch in Facebook. You've got to find the Facebook page for the program you want to watch. How you know what you want to watch? Anyway, whatever. But it's free. So that's, good quality drama for free, watched on my Facebook app, because I don't have a television, remember, streamed right from the Facebook page, which is perfect for me. Well, free as well. I'm watching a very high quality drama show with good people in it for free.
Yes. See, it's funny because I'm watching the people that I follow anyway start new television shows.
Yes, no, this is different. This is in competition with Netflix. This is drama.
Well, that's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
I've been watching Lewis Howes has got a new show where he interviews people and has...
You told us last week, didn't you, that you had to be invited to do that? I think that must be a different thing altogether.
No, I don't think it is anymore, because I'm starting to get things when I upload video. I'm starting to be told that I could make it on a Premiere thing, and I think the Premiere thing turns it into something on Watch.
Okay.
Gary Vaynerchuk's got moved his Ask Gary V show onto it completely.
Okay.
Frank Kern's doing a show on it. Lewis Howes is doing a show on it, and I think it's only a matter of time. So if you know the name of their show, you can put that in the search, and it.
Yeah, well, I'm not interested in any of that, but I'm interested in drama, and this one is This is good. So there doesn't seem to be any place you can go to that you can look up what's on and find it. It was a complete accident that I found it from a good review in The Guardian, and and initial inquiries suggested, I couldn't watch it in the UK. I had to persevere quite a bit to find it. And what you do is you find the page of the programme you want to watch, and then you can stream it live on there. But I don't know how you would find what's on, basically.
Yeah, there's no...
Not yet. There doesn't seem to be. There doesn't seem to be, like, I thought there would be an app, a Facebook Watch app, and I would go there and I would scroll through to see what was on. I can't find something like that yet. But anyway, I'm excited.
Yeah, well, you press on with looking for it. And
I will. I'll let you know when I find it. Who or what's impressed you?
Glenn Warner and his...
in his bathroom. Have you seen the video?
No, I haven't. I'm saving it.
Okay.
Until I finish today.
Yeah. Okay.
No spoilers, but I know there's been pictures, but I've deliberately not looked at them because I want to see it in all its glory.
Well, I haven't watched the video, but I would definitely go around and shower at their house now. I can tell you that.
How have they managed? They thought it would only take a week, and it's taken 5. They've been 5 weeks without a bathroom.
I don't know.
They must have been using the facilities
But thank heavens he's not your typical DIY husband, because that could take 5 years, couldn't it?
No, typical, yes, and never be finished. Yeah.
No, quite.
No, I'm really looking forward to watching that video. If the listeners don't know what we're looking at, it's a video series of a couple who sold everything and went to live on a houseboat, and it's called Life with More Meaning, isn't it?
It's called A Life of Meaning. Anyway, I'll get the proper link for the show.
Yeah,
yes.
But we both love it for different reasons, don't we?
Yes, we do. Yeah.
Good stuff. Well done, you two. That's us done.
That is us done.
So I'll see you here same time, same place next week.
Most certainly will. Yep. See you then. Okay. Bye.
How do they do it? Not a care and suffering. Wanna step into their world.
You've been listening to Nicola Cairncross and Judith Morgan. The podcast is called Own It, Your Business and Your Life. Do come and visit us at ownitthepodcast.com. We love to hear your feedback. You can find out more about Judith and visit her on her website at judithmorgan.com, and you can find Nicola at nicolacairncross.com.